how are you?
Hi, Janine. How you going?
Good. Welcome to this week's episode.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, aren't we talking about the skin as we age?
Well, we're talking about the skin, but we could actually talk about the aging process as a whole. What do you think? What happens to us
Certainly into it.
as we
Here
get
for it.
older?
Yeah, let's
Lovely.
do it.
Beautiful. So there's quite a few things that happen to our skin as we age. And in my consultations, I like to explain what's happening to our patients or to my patients so they understand why I choose certain treatments for them or why they're starting to see some of the lines on their face and some of the sagginess. And the biggest area I think people really start noticing aging is we call it the nasolabial lines, but it's those lines around your nose and your mouth that start from your nose and go to your mouth, small lines, but we call them the nasolabial lines. And that's probably one of the areas that people really notice they are aging. The other thing in that area is the lines on their lips. Their lips get thinner and they notice all those lines on the top of their lips, which people call smoker's lines. So they're probably the biggest areas that people come to me with concerns about, and they're a significant sign of aging. What are sort of the things that you see in your clinic?
Yeah, look, I mean, I see people with sun damage. I see people with pigmentation issues. I see things like that a lot. I see a lot of redness, rosacea, those types of skin issues. Certainly aging, and certainly I have a demographic of clients who are, moving up sort of 60s, that sort of area. And if you haven't really looked after your skin, by the time that you're in that age group, and if you're thin, especially if you're a thin lady, which I've got to be aware of because I'm quite thin, and if I don't keep myself, hydrated or voluminous in my face, you do get very gaunt and sunken in because you lose the volume, but also the skin becomes really thin. And with that, it looks very, very aging. So they are definite telltale signs of aging. And part of aging, being skinny, is a bit of a bummer because, all our lives, you sort of spend your time wanting to be skinny. But as you get older, when you are skinny, it becomes a bit of a punish because you end up looking older. You got to do a lot more to take care of yourself. That's something that I've noticed in myself too. It's your skin really, really shows your age, especially when you're quite thin. So
yeah. And I think too, I think beautiful skin can take years off you.
totally
And you could
agree.
do all the filler and anti-wrinkle in the world, but if your skin looks bad, I think
Oh,
it's not going to do any favors. I think always number one, you've got to look after your skin. Beautiful skin,
100%.
will keep you looking beautiful as you age. So you don't necessarily have to have injectables.
You don't. No, you don't. I mean, I think glowing, gorgeous, non-pigmented or bumpy or dark. There's all dark spots on your face. Obviously that's pigmentation, but for other people, just to get an idea of what we mean by that, those dark spots, those brown spots, redness, all of those things can be quite aging to look at.
Absolutely. So, the number one thing I tell my clients is look after your skin, even if
Yeah.
it's just as simple as wearing sunscreen and having really good skincare. If they can afford it, I do encourage skin treatments, and there's a lot of options out there. But your skin, if you've got beautiful skin, it will take years off you. And people do notice your skin. They don't notice if you've
Absolutely.
had anti-wrinkle. They don't say, oh, great, you can't move your frown. No, they say, your skin looks beautiful. What are you
Yeah.
doing? Is it true?
100%. Yeah, they do. And leathery skin and thick skin and things like that. They're the things that you start to notice because, we say simple things like wearing, sunscreen, but for a lot of people, it's not simple and they don't even think about it because I have a lot of clients, especially males, that I'm like literally almost at gunpoint going, start putting 50 plus on your face, please. Like it is so bad. And, a lot of people have this thought process if they're, from a Mediterranean background that they don't have to. No, yes, you do, because your skin can still look old and leathery and damaged. And it's really important, no matter where you're from, when you're in Australia, to wear SPF on your face, please. Thank you.
Yes. I have had a few clients that have immigrated here from either India or Pakistan, and they never had any pigmentation issues. They've been here 3-4 months. Guess what? Pigmentation. and they're
Yeah.
horrified. Never had it before. All of a sudden, they've got this pigmentation.
Our
So,
sun's horrendous.
yeah, our sun is horrendous, and that's one thing is
Mm,
sunscreen. And if you've never burnt
absolutely.
before, so for me, I burn at the drop of a hat. So ever since I'm young, I've worn sunscreen because I burn. The sun burns
Mm,
my skin. So that I think because of that reason, I've always worn sunscreen and it's protected my
yeah.
skin. But if you don't burn and you're out sunbaking all the time, then eventually you're going to start seeing pigmentation issues,
Hmm.
and it does hit you. There was a
Oh, it
research paper.
does.
There was a research
Mm.
paper that came out. I think it was the end of last year that said there was two um, times in our life that we really noticed aging. The first age was 44. The second age was 60. And I would say,
Oh
yeah,
dear.
I see that late 30, early 40s, people go, I feel like I've aged overnight. And then especially in
Mm,
women, when they've gone through menopause, that really changes our skin and what's happening
yep.
in the aging process. I think, yeah, that sounds about right. Those two times in our life where we see
Mm.
dramatic changes, and it does. It feels like it's overnight. You look in the mirror and you think, what has happened? I've just aged
Gosh,
overnight.
everything feels like overnight as you get older.
I know, right? So let's
Yeah.
talk about the skin.
Yeah.
The skin is the largest organ in our body, and it protects us, basically. And it's got three layers. We have the epidermis, which is the very, very top layer. We have our dermis, which is the layer we always talk about when we talk about stimulating collagen, because collagen and elastin are produced in the dermis. And when we're doing skin treatments, we want to target that area. And then we have the third layer, which is the hypodermis, and that's where the fat is and our blood vessels. So they're the sort of three layers of the skin, and they can really be impacted by internal things and external factors. So, some of the internal stuff is age. Obviously, we're aging. Your own genetics and hormones, they can all affect the skin, especially with women. Women, we've got to deal with hormonal changes throughout our
Yeah.
cycles, and that really
Mm.
does impact our skin. So our skin can get drier. We notice
Yeah.
pimples,
Yeah.
and in saying that, men, their collagen makeup in their dermis is different from a female. So think of a female's collagen matrix in their dermis is like these horizontal lines that go across, whereas a man is like, think of fishnet stockings. It's more like a scaffold. So the makeup of collagen in a man's skin and a female skin is very different. That's why men don't tend to get that thinner skin as they age. Women are more prone to that thinner skin because of that
Mm.
collagen matrix difference between a male and a female, which is totally unfair, by the way. Very, very, very
Mm.
unfair. But,
I know. Most
yes,
things are.
I know, right? Men tend to look more distinguished as they age, as a general rule, I think.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, most do. Some just look dehydrated. And I do say this to a lot of men. Dehydration is one of the worst things that a man can look like. And a lot of men have a lot of dehydration in their skin. And that's the
Yeah.
first thing I notice. I think, as a woman looking at a man, I look at, obviously, a woman looking at a man, duh. But I mean, I always look at teeth. I look at their hair and I look at their skin because I'm like, you're dehydrated. You need to sort that out. Start putting on just a bit of like moisturizer, even if you don't want to have a good skincare routine. Start drinking more water, sleeping better, and just looking after yourself. And it shows in your skin. And a lot of men look dehydrated. And
Yeah.
probably not everyone, but a lot of that is probably due to the drinking culture in Australia too for men. So, I mean, but that's a whole nother topic. But my point was, I find men look very dehydrated. And I find that more often than not than women.
Yeah. And look, there are those external factors that affect our skin aging and aging as a whole. And,
Mm,
diet, smoking,
yeah,
drinking, pollution. So, your skin, if you lived in the country compared to living in the city, you might find that people that live in the city will have more pollution damage to their skin than those in the country. Sun
certainly.
exposure, sun exposure is a huge one, especially in Australia.
Of
Climate,
course.
and that's another thing we have. Look, where I live in Victoria, it's, constantly in and out of air conditioning and heating within work and home. So those changes in, the drying out of our skin from air conditioners
Mm.
and things like that all play a part in how your skin.
100%. Yeah. And that's the same in Sydney, just to be fair. Like it's, you're either at work and you're in air conditioning or you're outside amongst the harshness of the sun. So
Mm.
really, you've got to constantly always wear your SPF, always. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. I don't care. Just do it. You don't. And people tend to think that when they're putting on their SPF, it has to be thick. It doesn't have to be
No.
old school thick zinc type. There's so many choices. And
Mm.
it can be very thin. You put it on before your makeup, or if you're a man, just put it on in the morning before you go
Yep.
outside to work. And it makes, I'm telling you, it makes 99% difference in your skin once you start wearing SPF. And it's the easiest thing to implement in your routine.
Yeah.
The easiest thing. Even
And,
easier than making yourself drink water.
absolutely. And and the ingredient that we're looking for in skincare is hyaluronic acid.
Yes.
So you want a moisturizer that has hyaluronic acid in it. Hyaluronic acid is a sugar molecule we have throughout our whole body. It's in every organ. And what it does, it attracts 1,000 times its weight in water. So it'll take water from surrounding tissues to hydrate and draw in water where it is. So that's why, when you apply a moisturizer that has hyaluronic acid in it, your skin will absorb that straight away and you'll instantly feel better. And most of them do. So in saying that, that's why it's important to drink water as well. So you've got that water, so you're not dehydrated. You want to be drinking water and having a skincare product that's got hyaluronic acid in it. And that'll make a big difference to your skin. Your skin will love it. And you do feel a difference when you apply it. So that's just the basic.
Yeah.
So let's talk about collagen, because we always talk about collagen in our consults. Collagen is important. Collagen keeps our skin nice and thick. It keeps it taut and tight and plump. That's what collagen does. And you'll hear a lot of people, beauticians, talk about collagen induction therapies. We've got to stimulate collagen. So with an aging skin, it's really important that we think about collagen.
Yeah, and it's a youthful appearance and supports wound healing as well and repair. So, if you've got collagen in your system and in your face or in your body or wherever you have that collagen, and you do have a wound or you do need some repair in that skin area, when you have more collagen, you are going to notice that happens at an accelerated rate, which is why we as clinicians want you to have stimulation for that. So whether that be, it could be something as simple as putting the collagen into your water. It could be something like having treatments, which we will go into at a later stage, what treatments would be best for certain things. But, there are treatments that we do that produce and reignite that collagen production in your body.
Yeah.
So it's really important to, when someone says that to you, like when your clinician says that to you, it's not normally, or, your cosmetic injector, whoever it is that you're seeing for your collagen, to take that on board, because some people think that it's just, they're trying to sell me something. They're trying to make me do this, blah, blah, blah. No, it's actually to your benefit to have collagen. So it's an important thing to add into your routine, whether it's your daily routine with water or tablets or however you want to do that, or if it's having treatments.
Yeah. And for an aging person, it's really important for you to have a really healthy skin barrier, because that's where infection comes in. So when you think of the elderly, a lot of the times they end up in an aged care facility or in hospital. They get a cut or a wound, it gets infected, and it might not heal very well. And part of that is because of the lack of integrity in their skin. So look, I recommend all my clients moisturize their whole body from head to toe.
Love that.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Spend money on the stuff on your face. For your body, use cheaper stuff, but keep your skin hydrated.
Sorbeline cream's great.
Yeah.
Big
look,
fan.
coconut oil at night. Coconut oil is really nice too. So there's some, cheap options. But, you've got to think of the integrity of your skin. And if you've got a rash on your face that's not healing, there's a problem there with your skin barrier, and you've got to think of how can you improve that. So from the age of about 25, I think we lose about 1% of collagen every single year. And then we hit menopause. Yeah, rightio.
Then you hit menopause. Woohoo!
Yep. Yeah. We lose about 2%.
Haven't got there yet, but it's around the corner.
And then we lose about, I just said 5, but it's actually 2%. So after menopause, we lose about 2% every year. So it's quite significant.
Yeah. How fabulous.
I know. So as a woman, that's why we notice. That's why they have that age 44. I said it in the last podcast, actually, that there was a research paper that said that women really start noticing aging at ages 44 and 60. And 44 is probably around menopause age for most women, or perimenopausal. So what's happening? We're having this big decline in collagen. So they're going to notice aging. So how do we combat that? And I always say to my clients, think about hitting menopause with collagen-rich skin. So in your late 30s, mid to late 30s, think about doing stuff to your skin that stimulates collagen. So when you hit menopause, your skin is collagen-rich, so you don't see the harsh effects of losing so much collagen. And then during those years, keep your collagen therapy up to keep your skin nice and thick and collagen-rich. So, if you are wanting to keep your skin beautiful, you have to think about planning for those types of treatments. And as well as doing the collagen drinks, I drink collagen as well.
Me
and the
too.
interesting thing is,
Yeah.
I've always had bad nails, and after drinking collagen, my nails have started to grow and thicken up.
Oh,
Yeah, you have to
I'm all
really
for
notice.
it. Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah,
Anything to help.
yeah. And look, when we ingest anything, obviously the last place it goes is our skin. As it goes through, as we absorb it, we digest it, it goes into our bloodstream, it goes to all of our organs, which our organs need collagen as well. So that's a good thing. The last place it goes to is our skin, but you will eventually see the results. And a lot of the times you actually have to be consistent with some of these treatments. You just can't do it for a month and expect to see results. It's about consistency. And for
I
me,
think
I was
that's with a lot of things, though. I think that's with, you need to be patient and you need to have consistency, and good things will happen. Nothing, what's that Pantene thing? It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. Like, you really do have to stick to it. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember
I know,
that?
I remember that.
But it's, yeah. But it's true. You have to stick to things and you have to be patient and you have to understand that these things take time. So if you've taken up to 40 years of, not taking care of your skin, then give it a second to catch up and it will get back on track. And it's not too late. Don't think I'm 55, that's sort of past me. No, it's not. You can turn this around. You really can. Not back to zero, but you can get to the best point that you can look and feel for what you're doing for your skin.
Yeah, so that with our skin, every 28 days when we're young, our skin turns over. Now, when we get to about 50, it's about 50 days. So there's a few things that we encourage people to use on their skin to keep that skin turnover at about 28 days. And some of those things are just doing peels, having glycolic acid in their cleansers, so vitamin A, so using a retinol in their skincare regime will help with that, what we call cellular turnover. But, excuse me, but that is a way to help with that cellular process. So you've got to think, if your skin is not turning over, it starts to look dry. You see more lines and wrinkles. You just think, oh, my skin looks dehydrated. You've got to think all that dead skin is just sitting there. We need to shift it because that turnover
100%.
of it has slowed down as we've aged.
Yeah, of course.
How we're going to stimulate that to shed and quicken up that turnover process. Retinol. We call retinol or vitamin A the anti-aging vitamin. And so I always recommend every older woman, like I would say from late 30s onwards, even 35, have a retinol in your nighttime skincare regime because you will need it to help with that cellular turnover because it's already starting to slow down and you really will notice a difference. Now, in saying that, you've got to be careful with some skincare. Make sure that you go to someone who actually understands skincare and can advise you because retinol is very strong and you can have some adverse effects from it like dryness, even breakouts. So make sure that you are consulted how you should be using it and how often, so you don't get any of those. Yeah,
because people just start using it willy-nilly and
they just
you
buy it
really have
online
to
and
follow.
have no idea. Yeah.
You
So
have
it's
to
great to
follow
buy it online.
the guidelines. Yeah.
So, they do work. So make sure that, you're talking to someone about it and not just buying it online and hoping for the best. I do see clients that buy a lot of products online and they have all these skin reactions and are wondering why, or they're using too much on their skin and wondering why their skin's reacting. It's because most of these products have active ingredients in them which penetrate deep into your skin, into the cellular level to change your skin. So they have to be respected and used in a certain way. But they will change your skin and they do marvelous things to your skin. People always ask me about my skin. Your skin always looks great. Yes, I use active skincare every day. Look, I'm not religious about it. Sometimes I forget to wash my face at night and just go straight to bed because I'm tired like every other working woman out there. But every day I'm putting something good on my skin. So, because of this collagen decline, we do see this loss of elasticity. And, back of the hands is a good place to test. Like I'm doing it now on camera. See how it's just, it's cruel. Thin.
I'm not putting my hands up. Not
You pick
happening.
up your skin and it's thin
No.
and it takes its time to fall back into place again. We want to pick up our skin and it to be nice and taut and thick and spring back really, really, really nicely. So as we age, we lose that nice elasticity in our skin, which is the word I want to use is elasticity. Which
Love elasticity. Great word.
I know.
Great word. Elasticity.
Elasticity. Yes, as we age, unfortunately, we see that loss in elasticity. And our skin gets thinner, especially Caucasians. So, Chrissy, you and me, we have to be extra careful because we are prone.
Love being Caucasian. It's a vibe.
Yes,
White,
the reason for that is, yeah, we tend not to. So, those with the paler skin tend not to have as many oil cells in their skin. So, those women with darker skins, so Mediterranean and above, have more oil glands in their skin. So, their skin is thicker. Whereas thin, whiter women, so you and me, Chrissy, I'm very pale. I've got bronzer on. This is all fake. I'm actually
I've got fake tan on.
Yeah, I'm very white.
It's not even that dark.
Yeah, so my skin's prone to be thinner and drier. So I have to work hard at thickening up my skin, keep my skin hydrated. Otherwise, it just looks. Some mornings I wake up, especially when there's been a season change, I really notice it in my skin. My skin gets dry, it looks grey. I notice fine lines and wrinkles. So, okay, I need to up it a bit. I need to do a peel. I need to do skin needling or some hydration therapy to my skin. And unfortunately, I probably have to work at it harder than someone with a darker skin type. I really have to work hard at keeping my skin hydrated.
Yeah.
What's your skin like, Chrissy? Yeah.
My skin's fabulous. No, I have to say, genetically, I'm very, very lucky. I haven't had to work hard at my skin my whole life, which, that's not the best advice for me to be giving people, but I'm being honest. I really haven't had to. So my whole family has great skin. My sisters do, my mother does.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is for us. But in saying that, I still do. And my mum instilled in us, because she was in the beauty industry, to always wash our faces, moisturize, and SPF. She was a Nazi about it. So I've grown up in that environment, so I always have looked after myself. But if I was to say I pull back, or if I use something, like I've had people say to me, oh, you must use, the best products. And listen, I have been guilty of using supermarket moisturizers and cleansers at different times, and my skin's look the same. Like, I'm not saying that the other stuff isn't fantastic, doesn't make you feel good. But for me, I've been able to use stuff and people have always noticed that my skin looks good. So there are a certain demographic of people that genetically have good skin.
Absolutely.
But I would say in the aging process that it is really important to still look after it. And I do not sunbake. Like, I rarely sunbake. I'm not going to say I don't, because that's a lie. We don't want to lie. But I pretty much don't sunbake because I don't like how it feels on my skin and I don't want to burn. So I'm very, very careful about it. And I never go to sleep without washing off my makeup, ever.
Oh, you're so good. I crazy sometimes.
Yeah, I'm just religious.
Yeah.
It's probably my OCD, and everyone that knows me that knows how much of a nightmare I am, that's just one of my OCD things. I could never put my face on my pillow with makeup on it.
Oh,
So,
honey,
do you know what I mean?
forever washing my pillow in bleach in nappy Sam, actually.
My whole room's white. I can't deal. That's the OCD.
Yeah, all my sheets are white, and then I soak them. But yeah, so back to oil production. So as we age, our skin's dry because the oil production decreases. So as we age, get dry skin, oil production decreases, which causes some people get dryness, some people get flakiness and itching. And if you're noticing you're starting to get a few rashes on your face or just some irritation, that could be just purely from dryness from aged skin. But one of the biggest things I see clients for is pigmentation. Pigmentation from aging. And the biggest thing is age spots. And you know what? Unfortunately, if you've been a huge sunbaker in your younger years, they're going to come out when you get older, especially on your driver's side. You'll see on your, the right side of your face, you'll notice probably you'll have more pigmentation than your left side because your driver's side is exposed to that window and you
Yeah.
get more light on that side. So I would say on my right side, even though I wear sunscreen every day, I would have more pigmentation on my right side than my left, even though I do wear sunscreen every day. So, the great thing about pigmentation is there's lots of treatments out there, lasers, skincare,
Yeah, absolutely.
peels. Yeah, there's heaps of stuff out there to help with pigmentation. You might not be able to completely get rid of it, but you can fade it significantly
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm freckling. I don't know if you could actually tell here, but
No, you
I think
can't.
I'm actually freckly.
So am I.
I just from, yeah, freckly. I mean, you can see it more on my décolletage, but
Mm.
I don't mind freckles. I think
Do
I
I?
hated them
I
when I was
love them.
younger, but now I'm older, I'm embracing them a bit more. But they've actually quite faded because I just don't expose my skin to sun very much. So
Yeah.
they're pretty much faded. But if you look at my skin in one of those UV light,
Like,
those skin scopes that people have and they can look at your skin. If you
they
put me
cause
in one of
trauma. They're very traumatizing
I'm
looking in
covered.
those.
I'm covered.
Very
covered.
traumatizing.
So the other couple of things we see in our aging skin is our ability to heal slows down, and some of this is due to decreased blood circulation. So we do see this decrease and this less of, our skin might be a bit paler. So I don't know if you notice, like, if you look at your grandparents, their skin's paler because of that
Yeah.
decreased blood circulation. So I even think even doing treatments that cause a little bit of trauma to your skin, like microneedling, can actually help stimulate some blood capillaries to your skin, I think.
Mm.
Encourages
Yeah,
blood.
definitely. Absolutely.
Healthier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the one, this is the big one when it comes to the aging skin, is the loss of what we call subcutaneous fat. So it's our superficial fat pad layer, and we lose this
Mm-hmm.
fat as we age. I know people don't like fat, but this is good fat. We need fat to support our skin. And when we lose that fat, guess what? Everything sags. We lose that
That's what when young
support.
girls, they've got more of a rounder face because they haven't yet hit the age where they're getting all the angles. And I say to them, they're like, oh, I want, your skinny face, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you should be loving that roundness and fullness in your face
Yes.
because once that goes, you cannot get that. It's really hard to get back. You have to put, filler in or whatever it is, to stimulate that to come back. But you can't get the fat back unless you put on weight, but you still can't get it in certain spots. So embrace your buccal fat, embrace the roundness of your face while you
the
can,
chubbiness.
because
Yes.
once it goes, it's gone. So,
Yes. Yeah. And look, there is a few treatments out there that are said to help that fat pad, come back to life again. There's a few treatments out there that can do that, but we won't mention them here. But it's something that you speak to your injector about because there are some treatments that can help bring life back to those fat pads and just help really support your skin. And that's what it's about. So fat supports skin. Fat is not our enemy. Excess fat is not good, but we have this healthy fat, the superficial fat around our whole body that keeps our skin looking nice. And a good example of it is, look, I don't know if everyone remembers Tara Reid. And if you
I've
can
got Tara Reid's body.
yeah, I remember that movie American Pie? She was in that. So the
Yeah.
younger people don't know her, but in the tabloids, back when she was famous, back in the early 2000s, she got shamed for having bad liposuction because her skin started to pucker.
Mm.
And that's a clear sign of taking out too much fat. And that is an example of what happens to our faces. If you don't have the fat to support your skin sags and looks crepey and
Yep. Not cute.
and yeah. Yeah. So
Yep.
that's
Poor old
my
Tara.
example. Yeah. Good old Tara. So is
Yeah.
there anything else you want to say about the aging process of the skin? I think we've covered
Look,
it
I
all.
mean, yeah, absolutely. But, at the end of the day, everyone's bodies are different. Everyone's faces are different. Everyone ages differently. The one thing we need to remember is that even though you are aging, you will always be beautiful to us. We love you. Aging is not our enemy. Aging is fabulous because the alternative is not so good. So if we're aging and we're worried about our skin and we're trying to do things that are going to promote for ourselves to look better, then we're all for it. But if you decide that you don't want to, then you don't have to. But I think if you're armed with education and if you're armed with a little bit of knowledge and some choices on what you can do, because, for us, we think about our skin. we've got to put on, 50 plus, because we're in the industry of this. But for someone that doesn't work in this industry, it's very easy to be thinking about the 8,000 other things that you've got to think about. So even if today, if you can listen to things that, if we can speak to you and just say, look, you may not have thought of this, but just add 50 plus into your routine in the morning. Simple. Put a bit of collagen in your drink. Come in and get a couple of treatments that might help with collagen in, things like that just may get you going, oh, okay, then we feel like our, job is done here, because you're just not armed with that education. So that's what we want to be able to do for you.
Actually, there's one thing I just wanted to say is that people think that they can't improve the way that they look or reverse the clock a little bit. You actually can. I was mentioning before about our skin turning over. If you're in your 50s and you want to improve your skin, if you start using a retinol and even a glycolic scrub every now and again just to help that cellular turnover, your skin will look better, which will make you look younger. So you actually can improve your skin. You can't say, oh, it's all too late for me. Actually, it's not.
No,
because your skin
never
is renewed all the time. It's renewed all the time. So I say, think of it, it's not going to be renewed overnight, but it will take a few months and you'll see a massive difference. So you can reverse the clock when it comes to your skin. You really, really can. Yeah. And look amazing.
And so we're here for it.
Yeah, it's all about consistency.
Consistency, patience. We love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that was a good session. But if you've got any questions, you can always email us at beyondthebabblepodcast@gmail.com and we will answer your questions, won't we, Chrissy?
We sure will. And please send us through those questions, because we really want to be able to answer what's on your mind and what you're maybe not sort of finding out from, magazines or from other people. So, if you have those questions that you want to ask, please send them through and we will get back to you on them.
All right. Well, see you later.
Bye.